Do you?
Is
Does it?
that what it says?
Is that accurate right now, Jesse? Is it
Oh,
is are we live though? Are we live? Can they hear you or can they just hear me? They should be able to hear you, Jesse. That's not
we sound
fun.
like we're crazy then.
Yeah, we sound like we're nuts. We sound like we're just absolutely bonkers talking to no one. We're both to here, but neither of us are talking to each other. We're talking to someone who doesn't exist to anybody else. Because they can't hear you.
uh,
Oh well.
yeah.
Hello, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, everybody. Nice of you to
Hi.
join us. Hey Sparrow. Hey Rosie. Hey Kit. What?
Hey, I'm Static.
Oh yeah. Today we got Joe up top. I mean Static P up top. He's
Yeah,
gonna be our guest. He's gonna be the star of the show.
that's
And
right.
I am Joe, also known as Joseph Anderson. CDVNL. Yeah. Also, hey Sakura, how's it going? Um, nice of everyone to join us here today. This is Don't Worry Wednesday, a show where we talk about whatever issue you guys might be having. Talk about maybe deeper things. If you guys are struggling with anything, you have any worries, something on your mind, we just want to be a friend and talk about it with you. Sometimes it's good to just get it off our chest and get some different perspectives of what other people might think about it. A lot of times we already know what to do, or we have it inside of us to figure out what we need to do next. But we need a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of just kind of putting it out there. It makes us feel calmer about the scenario. It makes us feel like, hey, someone else has been through this before, and they figured it out. I can figure it out too. And so it's kind of basically what we're doing here today on Don't Worry Wednesday. So if you have any thoughts or concerns, feel free to put it in the chat. You can also, as Princess, our chat room hostess, just said, you can put it in an email and send it to us to dww@bss.studio, or you can send the message directly to our website in the Don't Worry section, which is bss.studio. Apparently, it's https:// that's / bss studio / index.php /forum /5 ... If you go there,
You can
the
click it
is,
actually.
yeah, that's probably the best thing you can do. You'll be
If you
taken right
click
to the
it, it
spot in the
works
site,
good.
which gives you the opportunity to post it there instead. Because
Yes.
the chat here on YouTube only has a limited amount of space. Sometimes you want to post like 14 paragraphs about your issue. And so that allows you to do so on our website. You can also send it to our Discord. Send us a private message on Discord, and sometimes we'll see it there too. So if you want to be anonymous, of course, probably email's the best way you can go about that. But anyways, yeah, thanks for
Yes.
sticking around. Let me open that up. I'm your host today, and Joe's our star. Or sorry, Static P. I mean, he's up there with his
It's
beautiful
so
beard.
weird. I feel like I'm gonna get a nosebleed up here. Like it's so
Yeah, it's pretty high. The altitude is higher.
I know. It's like it's
Yeah,
so
you
strange.
guys have a lot of oxygen down here. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, we get all the oxygen and the stench.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
The smog stays down low, like
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
up
That's true.
here, it's like wow. It's like whoa,
Yeah,
amazing.
that's true. That's
And
true.
yes, Rosie, it is HTTPS. That means it's secure.
Mm-hmm. That's
All
right.
thanks to Jesse, our producer.
Yes.
He is also our IT guru guy at BSS.studio. So if you ever have a problem, you can just start a support ticket and he will help you.
He would love to. He
He
would
would
love
love
to
to.
take his time to solve any problem that you've got, as long as it has to do with IT and actually has something to do with Black Setting Swerve. Because otherwise, he'll just get mad at us for telling you to go to him when your computer crashes when it's not related to us. But you know what? You can do that. And Jesse would probably help you anyways, because he's that kind of guy. He'll be like, oh, your computer crashed? I don't even know you, but here, let me tell you how to fix it. Turn your computer off and turn it back on.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
Yes. What's with the open chat thing on the website that doesn't work? That's a great question. that's one of those questions that
That goes to
Jesse
Jesse.
would love to answer.
Actually, I think my brother originally was the one that set that up, and it was working for a time. But right now, it's not working because there's no dedicated server to it or something like that. Can't remember exactly how that goes. It's something we have to work on. Oh, correct. Okay, cool. I got it. By the way, if you want to know, I'm drinking tea. Tea is awesome.
I'm drinking tea.
You're drinking tea? See?
Yeah.
Guys, we're gonna have a tea
So have
party.
some tea. Pull up some.
Yeah.
It's a tea party.
It's a tea party now.
Hey, so here we go.
Welcome.
Where was they? Cherry says, "Why is Static on the bottom? Why does Joe have a beard? Why does Static not have one?" Because we just really wanted to mess with your minds tonight.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Really, really turning a new leaf here. And everything's upside down. See, I'm bald on the bottom, and he's not. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. But yes, so we've got some questions here. We got some topics. We've Cherry has one, Princess has one, Sparrow has one, and everybody, all of you are here, and you have topics.
That's awesome. So I'm just gonna go down the list. If you guys are here, just go like, "Hey, what's up? What's happening? I'm here."
Say it in the chat though. You know, if you say it out loud, we probably will not hear you.
So, you probably should do both. No, okay, yeah, maybe just say it in the chat. Don't say it out loud, because yeah, there's barriers between you and I and distance, which sound does not cover easily. So, anyways,
Steve Ellis, Heather,
Hyrule, Ichikaru Jack, Sumner Kagan, John Doe, Jehotzovitz, Steve L, Princess, Val, aka Cherry, and Sparrow is here. So that's what we've got. That's the order we've got them in currently. It's the order they were put down.
Yes.
Sweet. Steve is here. Oh, what did I just do? All right. So
you did it. You did it.
I did it. I certainly did.
Hi, what's up?
It seems what's up? Okay, so it looks like Steve is gonna be our first one. Since they are here.
Yes. And Princess already put the link there. So
well, perfect. Thank you, Princess. You're amazing. All right, Steve, you ready for this? You ready to dive right into this one? You cool with that? I'm gonna guess you are. This one comes from it's quite fast. Is it a little too fast? You want me to slow down? We can give you a little bit more time to prepare if you need. But if you're cool, we'd love to go through it. This one is from Steve L, and it's titled, "Is It Love Part 2? Confession Time." Yeah. Oh, okay. It's a fast one. Okay, it won't take too long. Cool. Well, let's go for it then. Once again, this is titled, "Is It Love? Part 2, Confession Time," and it reads as follows. I ended up telling the girl I had feelings for her, and I really tried to analyze my motives. And I even got my friend to watch the stream to see his interpretation of what you guys said. I decided that since I had these emotions for her, I would rather tell her soon so we can work through this problem, because I value our friendship and didn't want to risk that or create unnecessary risk. So I decided to create unnecessary risk by telling her. We had a very long conversation about it, and she knew I had feelings for her. And overall, everything went much better than I expected. Right now, she isn't looking to date because she's facing many mental issues by dealing with depression, is unhappy at home, and has all of these problems, so she doesn't think she is in the right spot in her life to be dating, which makes a lot of sense. At the end, we're still good friends, and I still want to be good friends with her. But I was put in a difficult spot of, do I try to wait for her to fix her problems and hope I'll be able to date her? Because she never said no, because she didn't reciprocate the feelings. But the conclusion I've drawn is I'm not going to wait for her, but I'm also not going to seek anyone new out and just do what I have fun doing. So there might be a part 3 in the future. All right, cool. So yeah, nice. Thanks for the update, man.
Mhm.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes.
So yeah, there's not like you said, yeah, it's a fast one. There's not too many questions here, but I mean we could talk about it a little bit. That's really cool, Steve, and I think that I'm well. One, I'm proud of you. Two,
Mhm.
I'm proud of you. Um, that's the same thing. I think it's awesome that you shared it with your friend, just to get what they thought about what we said. As a because that's true. Sometimes you hear someone and it can be interpreted many different ways. So I think that was a really, really mature, really a very cool, smart move by you. And it's good that you went through with it. You guys came to a nice conclusion. She was very honest with you. Talked about the issues she's dealing with at home and things like that. And then your follow up with the response of like, okay, now what do I do? I think that's pretty accurate or pretty well thought out too. Um, so yeah, Joe, do you have anything you want to say about this?
Yeah. Well, first I want to, say the same thing you just said, but I'll just
Yeah,
say what he said, and I'll point down,
that's right.
which is cool.
Yeah,
But anyway, um, yeah, I am super proud of you also, Steve. That takes a lot of guts to
yeah,
do that.
yeah, for
And
sure.
for you to do that, but there's a great lesson for all of us in this statement here. And one thing that I love that you put on there is that you said overall everything went much better than I expected. You know what? Honestly, that's usually the case.
Hmm.
It is so rare that I mean most of the time I get I get this, you know, thought in my head of how something's going to go before I do it. And I, build it up in my mind as this big deal and it's going to be this big challenge and it's going to be hard and it's going to be painful and everything. And then when I actually do it, it's really not all that bad. You know, sometimes just showing up is the hardest part. And then when you're actually there and then you're going through it, it's really not as bad. And but I think it's awesome because it takes guts to actually show up and do that.
No doubt.
And so that, wow, you just grew leaps and bounds there, Steve, like with this situation.
Yeah,
That's tremendous. And also um uh I think you're spot on with what you've decided to do. And that is just, hey, don't seek anybody out, let's just do something I love doing. And that that's beautiful because you're going to find talents that you might not know about, and you're going to develop talents into, like the ones you do know about, you're going to get better at, and it's going to be cool. Like I know that there was this time span in my life when I had asked a girl out and she turned me down, and then for like the next year or so, it was this tremendous time of my growth as a musician because I just threw myself into it. And I just, that was my whole life. I mean, I was in college, I was majoring in percussion performance, and I was just, that was my life. And as a musician, not just as a percussionist, but also as a guitarist, as a pianist, and as a singer, I just developed those abilities, over this time span. And it was because that's what I focused on. And so you're going to have time to do that, which is great. One thing about relationships is they do take a lot of time commitment and they do take a lot of effort,
they certainly
and
do.
rightfully so. I mean, that's another human being. They deserve to have your attention and your commitment and and your time. I mean, if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
go into a deep level relationship like that, absolutely. But so to not be in that, there is good there as well because now you're free to do things like you want to do, the things that you love, the things you want to pursue. And so I think what you're doing is fantastic. I applaud you immensely for having the courage to do that. And I also have to thank you so very, very much that you shared our humble show with a friend of yours. That
Yeah.
is, I can't tell you how big of a deal it is. When I read that, it was amazing. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
he shared our show with our friend, with his friends. Like, that's great. So thank you. Thank you so much for doing that, because yeah, I mean, we love being here. We love doing this show. We love all of you guys that come, and we love the fact that more of you come, and thank you so much for sharing our show with your friend. So anyway, that's about all I have to at least get rolling. Ryan, do you have anything now?
No, I don't have too much to add. I think that sums it up very nicely. Because yeah, dude, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. I think you made the right decisions, and yeah, it's just like you said. It's not everything works out in our favor. We think a lot of times where we go through something, it's like, oh man, it would have the best result would have been me dating her. But that's not necessarily true, right? Things work out in our favor more than we realize.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing: when you just went through this, right, and you you didn't fail, what you did was you showed courage.
Hmm.
You asked, and it came out not exactly as you had hoped, but you still worked through it and it came to a good conclusion. Um, and that's how life is. That's just how life is most of the time. And you just exemplified that for everybody. Everybody who now can see someone who's done that. But not only that, you have exemplified it for yourself. And what I mean is now, as you go through life moving forward, you're going to have more courage in everything you do, believe it or not. It sounds weird. Um, but I found that to be very true for me. When I took my leaps of faith, when I took my steps, when I was like, man, I got to confront this person, that's going to be very difficult. Or I want to tell this person I like them, whatever. And I went through with it, and the result was just okay. It and like life moved on, and it was great, and I felt relieved at the end of it. Everything worked out. Yeah. From that moment forward, I felt more and more courageous with everything I did. From that moment forward, I had a more, I know I had more confidence in myself. Like, I know no matter what comes, it's going to be okay. And I can work through it. I can find my way through whatever comes. And so that's a lot of times what courage really is believing that you can find your way through whatever comes. Um, Now, courage is more than that. Courage it can be more scary than that, but knowing that you can find your way through whatever comes is really, really key. I wish that's something I wish I could just give to everybody. If I could give like one thing to everybody, it would be courage, because that helps us so much in life. Do the right things at the right moments and move and be wise and things like that. Courage is really crucial in many scenarios. So yeah, way to go.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting thing about courage is that it requires fear.
Hmm.
Like, that's a prerequisite. So you
Mm-hmm.
like you have to be afraid in order to exhibit courage.
Yeah.
And so it's like when people, a lot of times, I mean, it took me a long time to come to grips with this and wrap my head around this concept. But when I realized finally that when I'm afraid, oh, this is just a chance to show courage. I would not have any chance to show courage if I didn't feel this fear.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so yeah, that's great. And then when you overcome it, it's tremendous, like Ryan was just saying.
Nice. Hey, just out of curiosity, Joe, did you ever press that record button?
No,
Me neither. Well, I'm starting recording now.
but that's okay because we have video record.
Yeah, that's true. And you can throw that in there.
We totally do.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally passed over because of everything else that's going on. Well,
Yeah.
there we are.
It's no big deal. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. It's
No,
just
it's not.
yeah.
Jesse, yeah, it is your fault, man. You were supposed to be over here clicking our mouses on that record button, and you weren't. Well, I wanted you to drive your like 1,000 miles to do that. All right. But can't ask for everything, I
That's
guess.
right. That's right.
No, okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Let's keep this train going. Steve, you're awesome. Thanks again.
Yes,
And
thank you.
if anybody wants to share this with friends, I think a lot of times you get worried, like, oh, what will my friend think of it? If they don't like it, then they won't like me. That's not true. Just saying. If you got friends and you feel like, man, I wish that my friend would have heard that, just ask them to like start coming to the show. Be like, hey, I got this show. You should check it out. It's been really helping me out with like my thinking and just moving me forward. I really like their attitudes. Whatever you want to say that you think is good about us, or is not.
It doesn't
They're
even
really
have to be
stupid.
good. Yeah, you can even say these guys
I love
are
watching these guys
total,
because they know nothing about what they're talking about.
man, they
It's so
think
funny.
they know so much. They think they're so smart, and they just like to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Especially the guy in the hat. He talks and talks and talks, and his voice is annoying. Like, you should totally check it out. It's like, you know, it's, you need verification, you know, like when you go to a restaurant and you get something and you're like, oh, this tastes terrible. You try this. Like, you got to try this. It's terrible.
Yeah,
or this,
it's
man,
so
that
bad.
stinks.
It's like
that.
when you watch a bad movie and you're like, guys, this movie is so bad. Let's watch it. You know? Yeah.
Speaking of bad movies, I saw a movie. I was getting my car fixed, and so you're there, you know, you're just sitting there at the auto repair shop, you know, and somebody had put on this movie. I think it was something like Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay.
And it was like this movie from the 80s, you know, and it was like this B movie from the 80s. It was awful. It was so horrible. I mean, so actually I shouldn't say that, because
someone put time and effort into that
favorite movie.
Joe.
A lot of people did. A lot of people did. You watch the credits and you're like, oh my gosh, people worked really hard on this movie. And a lot of, I was sorry. So just so you know, it's not going to offend us if you tell your friends that we're terrible and you ask them to verify that. Because then deep down inside, they might, on the out front, they might be like, oh yeah, you know, they're terrible. But then deep down, they'll be like, I'm going to listen to these guys. I'm going to actually subscribe and listen to it. I'm not going to tell anybody. It's going to be
I'm not going to tell anybody. It's going to be my little secret. I love watching this show. Actually, I want to move on to the topic, but I do have one thing to say. My friend, or sorry, not my friend, my mom's husband, who could be my friend,
he's your friend. He's my friend. He's a friendly guy.
Yeah, he is actually. He's really awesome. He's a very friendly guy. So he watches this show, and the only reason he watches it, it's a show where they're like hunting for treasure on this land, and they've been doing it for like 30 years and not found anything, and now there's a show about them doing it and still not finding anything. But it's this really kind of dumb show, and the only reason he watches it is because his friend watches it, and his friend owns the house next to, he owns a house on Mackinac Island next to the people who are in this show.
Oh.
So the people who are in this show are his neighbors.
Oh, wow.
And so that's his friend. And so he watches it. So Jim watches it just to keep up, like, to see like, okay, yeah, we're both watching it together and we both think it's awful. We can't believe these people on this show. Like, how could you, whatever, you know, they just, it's kind of sad because like they hate the show, but they watch it.
But it's on TV.
Yeah, but it's on TV. It's on TV, right?
Hey, if it's on TV, they did something right.
Yeah, they're doing something right. Believe it or not. Even if they're not finding treasure, they're finding treasure because they've got a TV show about it.
Where they got a TV show about not finding treasure, and that's their treasure.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic.
Yes.
Life is amazing. It's full of crazy things like that. Where, it looks like they're not finding anything, but at the same time, it's like they got a TV show. You can't even make fun of them. You're like, that's awesome.
You can make fun of them.
You can, but you're wrong because you don't got a TV show. You're just innately wrong because it's like, yeah, you don't got a TV show though, do you?
Right, but because of YouTube, anybody can have a TV show, and we are prime example of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get on with our show then. Put us on your TV so we can be a TV show. Okay.
Is Geico going to be our sponsor? I've noticed
Geico.
Geico twice in the chat. Like they need
Oh.
to be sending us sponsorship money or something.
Oh, they should be. If they're not, they're behind on payments.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they could spend 15 bucks or more in 15 minutes if they only watch our show and give us sponsors. Anyways, moving on for real this time. This one comes from Princess, our chat room hostess.
Yes.
It is titled Echo of Words. Are you ready for it? I'm ready for it.
Yes, I'm ready.
Awesome. It reads as follows. Hoi friends, reading or listening to Hoi friends reading or listening to this. I hope you all are well. I love you all. And she gave a cute little emoji that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Or emoticon. Sorry, that's actually technically an emoticon. An emoji is a character. It uses characters. That's what the word G stands for. It's Japanese for character.
Nobody has the emoticons we have.
Yeah. So anyways, so there was something that happened recently. That incident isn't what I want to focus on. Rather, the lingering as echoes calling out to me from the words that were said. I was wondering if you guys would be willing to talk about it. You always have such great words, whether they be directional or a different perspective or be of loving comfort. The quote is, I'm actually pretty angry with you, and I'd like to enjoy my time without having to worry about you. End quote.
Mm.
These words, they are types of saying my memories know well. Okay. When kids said similar excluding remarks to me, it hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, look, we are trying to play a game here. Can you, give us space? You want to join us? Sorry, we already have enough people. End quotes. But at the same time, I always try to take it as, quote, you know what? I don't want to be around you either with that attitude, end quote. And I'd make my way to somewhere else alone to have fun. Next day, it no longer mattered since mostly I kept to myself anyways. If they ever changed their mind or asked, I would have been overjoyed. However, I've heard those words from those who were supposed to be trusted friends or parents. Okay. It was deeply wounding. After all, I never meant to hurt them. Any of them, from close to classmate. I wouldn't dream of it. I care about them. I may have said something that hurt them, but it wasn't that I wanted that. Am I really so horrible that I should disappear? I tried whatever it took to make it up, now and back then. In the past, I tried to be perfect for them, so that maybe they changed their mind. And honestly, even with classmates, I tried to be kind and stand up for others, secretly hoping that doing the right thing might mean I could join them and not always be left out. But it was to no avail. So why? Why am I asked to disappear into thin air? Why can't I do anything to make it better? What's so wrong about me? At this time, I've come to as close as peace as I can get with forgiveness and trying to do what's right in the eyes of my God. I have tried to reach out lovingly to the person in this recent situation with no response, and that's okay. But there's still an ache in my chest and tears in my eyes about these words.
Mm-hmm.
I know that logically, they are just that, words. But that doesn't come off as convincing right now. Thank you all for listening and being such amazing and kind people. Much love, Princess. And there you go. Thank you so much, Princess. Thanks for posting this. I know that you and I talked a little bit about this, but you've gone a little bit further in depth and you're asking new questions as well. So I think that is fantastic. And I look forward to covering this one. And also thanks so much for sharing all this. And a lot of times it takes courage to do this kind of stuff, you know. And also, you're not the only person that's ever dealt with this. So at the same time as it's helpful for you, it's also going to be helpful for a lot of other people who are in this chat right now. Because I think all of us have dealt with, and I know that personally I have, I think a lot of us have dealt with people just telling us go away. I mean, and it's like, why are you so rude to me? Like, what's, you know, you just let everybody else play with you, but I'm not allowed. Like, why? That's, you know, and that's a stinky scenario to be in. It hurts. It just hurts. And that's human nature for that to hurt. And there's nothing wrong with that hurting, you know. That's an accurate emotional response. So yeah, a lot going on here. Hopefully we can shed some light on it, you know, in the different ways that we can, through our own lives and our experiences. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Joe, and hopefully he can send you to brighter thoughts and wiser lifestyle choices and more blessed experiences and
wiser lifestyle choices, huh?
Yeah, and friendlier company and macho man, good looking guy stuff.
Oh, gosh.
That's my transition. Go for it, Joe.
Wow. So so anybody who doesn't believe in the power of words, just listen to that a little bit.
Yeah, because those are the perfect words to use.
Those are some words right
yeah,
there.
Hopefully he can help me find my lifestyle choices, wiser lifestyle choices, and macho man human beautifulness.
Wow. Well, so okay. So let me get my train of thought back. Whoever said this saying, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me, they were lying. And that statement was just made to build, it's meant to kind of reinforce us that, hey, they're just words, you know. But you know, words are powerful. Words are absolutely powerful, and communication and the transfer of information is powerful. It has the ability to change minds and hearts. It has the ability to drive someone to despair. It has the power to lift someone up and give them a firm footing to stand on. And this is all just words. It's all just people saying things, you know. And sometimes you can say a lot of things with no words, just a look. I mean, I've been married now for like 12 years, you know, like I'm in my 13th year of marriage, and you know, my wife, she can say she can say everything with just one look. And it's like, oh my.
I like that. That was like spot on. Oh. Oh. I like that.
I don't know what it is. What did I do? Nothing. It's fine. Fine is a 4-letter F word.
Yeah.
By the way.
We don't use the F word around here.
Yes.
Fine.
Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can break your heart, Frost says. That is so true. So true. And it can strike deep and wound. I tell you, I remember when I was reading through this, as Ryan was reading it, it brought me back to a time. I remember this girl that went to my church growing up, and she went to my school growing up, and lived, must be not too far away because we were in the same area growing up together. But I remember being on the school bus, and she was talking to her friend, and I was sitting on the seat across the aisle from them, right? And they were sitting there talking, and I was in the other seat across the aisle. And I looked over, and clearly they were talking about me. And they were saying something kind of rude and laughing about it and all that kind of stuff. They were just kind of gossiping about me there. And so I remember being pretty young at the time. I hadn't had much experience with that, before. And so I just kind of went over and said, hey, what are you guys saying about me? And she looked at me and she gave me this cold look and she said, if I wanted you to know, I would have said it to you.
Wow.
And I remember that moment. That was one of the first moments where I was like, oh, what is this feeling? Like, because it was anger and like frustration because she never did tell me, but it was kind of just like this dismissal, like, like get out of here, And I remember being excluded from different things. I remember being, like when you're picking teams, I was always one of the last people to get picked on teams and I was there. I had to get picked because I was there, and everybody had to get picked.
Except for I was actually really good athletically and our team always won, but I was still the last picked.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, it's Ryan. We don't want him.
Yeah. Right.
Even if he's good.
We don't want that nonsense on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, or just, man, people can be so hurtful. And it's not, I don't necessarily know if they're trying to be. They're just wearing their heart on their sleeve and just, being, unabashedly themselves and sharing their opinion, no matter how it might affect somebody. And that's what, one thing that my dad always taught me was he said, always think before you say something. Think about what you're going to say before you say it. And that has served me well because I've gotten fairly good at holding my tongue in situations when it's like, ooh, I have the ability to really do some harm with words right now. So, I'm going to stop, or I'm going to forge ahead and really hurt somebody because I'm mad at them right now. But I remember that happening. And this is funny. So the same girl, right? The same girl that said that to me and was like really mean and everything. Like, I remember it wasn't long after this incident that happened. We grew up together. We were in the same classes, everything. We were supposed to be friends. Right. And that happened. And then like I had some candy or cookies or something. And she was like, hey, can I have one? I'll be your friend. And I'm like, no, you can't have one. Science says, yeah, that's me. Wear my heart on my sleeve. Hardly any filter. At least used to be. Still advocate for being open about feelings and problems. Yes, it's good to be open about stuff. Absolutely. But the key word is tact. And that's something you develop over time. I mean, we all can kind of soften ourselves. Like, I've heard it said in a mentoring situation, like if you're mentoring somebody, sometimes you got to hit people in the head with a brick. But you know what? You can wrap some velvet around it first. Like, so,
wow.
But anyway, so Princess, I understand where you're at. I understand that feeling, and it stinks. And that, I mean, you've got that heart wrenching, that it almost, you feel it like in your chest tightening because it's just like, oh, and it's kind of like twisting and tightening and everything, and it's like, oh. So I've been there, and I'm sorry that you have to go through it. I'm sorry because I know how painful it is. But Princess, to answer your questions, why am I asked to disappear into thin air? Why can't I do anything to make it better? And what's so wrong about me? These are questions that a lot of us struggle with. One, why am I asked to disappear into thin air? Because the other person doesn't know what they're talking about. That's on them. And I know, I don't know how comforting these words are going to be. Hopefully a little bit, but that is totally on them. They do not know what they're missing by not having you hang around them. I've never hung around you in person, but I've hung around you on, you know, video conferencing stuff and, you know, gotten to
She's a lot
spend
of
some
fun.
time. Yeah, you're awesome. Like, I don't know why somebody wouldn't want to hang around you or someone wouldn't want you around. That seems ridiculous to me. Why can't I do anything to make it better? Again, I'm the other person. Sometimes people are just going to reject us. They're going to reject us when we approach them. They're going to, you know, they're going to reject our attempts at making it better. They're going to reject any type of thing we have where we can try and heal a situation. They're just going to reject it because that's their stance. And a lot of times it comes from pride. And sometimes the best thing you can do is just pray for those people, because honestly, if they're in a position where mentally and emotionally they're acting that way, they're hurting themselves. And they're in a bad spot themselves. And they have things that they need to work through in order to, you know, be a more receptive and open person and a more amicable, or whatever the word you want to use in there. So what's so wrong about you? About the same as what's wrong with every single one of us. None of us are perfect, no matter how much we want to be. None of us do everything right. In fact, a lot of times, personally, I do a lot of things wrong. I had a hard time with that for a long time until I, you know, realized, for those of you who were here last week, you know, I saw the guy, Robert Rome, who was like, oh, well, I screwed up. Big deal. Yeah. So, Princess, there's nothing wrong with you inherently. You might make mistakes. I make mistakes. But people who don't want to hang around you, trust me, it's their loss. It is their loss. Just like you said. Where was it? You know what? I don't want to be around you either with that attitude. That's a great response. Even though it hurts inside, even though the rejection still can cut deep and hurt in our core, rejection is like that. Anytime we put ourselves out there, it's rejected. You know, there's pain to that. And Ryan did a video. It's not up anymore. He did a video with his friend Geen. I'll never forget this video. I wish it was still up because I love it, and my kids loved it, and it was hilarious. And you know what? It's so great because it describes this, and it describes this in a humorous way. And it was these two people, right? There's this guy and this girl, right? Yep. It was so short. It was great. And there's this girl, and she goes, it's like this, ta-da, like, please enjoy our video. And then this guy throws a pie in her face. And that's it. And that was like, this is what thumbs downs are like, or whatever, you know. That was like the title of the video. I wish that video was still up. So Geen, if you hear this, figure out a way to put that back up, because that was awesome. I would share that with all kinds of people. Loved it. Yeah. But yeah, so, but that's how it can be. It can hurt. It can feel like this pain. But you know what? Every time you go through that pain, gives you a chance to love beyond the pain. Gives you a chance to forgive, which then gives you a chance to grow. Which then gives you a chance to heal and become stronger. So all those painful moments are really blessings in disguise, because it creates the opportunity for our own growth. And you know, if you handle it right, and it sounds to me like you're handling it right, because you're trying to forgive, you're trying to do these things. And that's great. And if you can, in the middle of that pain, forgive them in your heart and in your mind, that's the most impactful time. And you'll grow the most in those moments. And I've talked for a long time, so I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, because he will probably say something even more comforting and call you macho and stuff.
Hey, macho. Hey, macho, Princess Yellow. It doesn't really work there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joe. And I think really you said a lot of what I would have said. Yeah. When someone says, you know, like disappear, blah blah blah, like you ask, why am I asked to disappear into thin air? Just like Joe said, that's not your problem. That's not your failure. It's not your act of ill will. It's not you doing anything wrong, right? That's on them. That's just them. That's just where their heart is at that moment. That's just where their mind is at that moment. And it's not in the right place. For the most case, for the most time. If it was in the right place, they'd find a better way to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they didn't want you. It's just that, like, for example, if someone's busy doing something and they're like, hey, hold on, I've got to actually do this real quick. Or, hey, I'm in the middle of something, but I'll be back with you in like 4 hours. You know, that's very different. It's not because they want you to disappear, you know, it's because they're working or they're doing something, right? So there are those times, right? There are those times when we need to give people their space, we need to give people their time. And just because they're asking for you to kind of get out of their way for a little bit doesn't mean they're trying to be mean. It doesn't mean that their heart's in the wrong place, right? But there are obviously places, like you described before, where, yeah, I mean, they're just being rude. And there's no reason to be. In fact, there are times it's like, yeah, hey, we're already in the middle of the game and there's no room for more players, but you're free to just hang out with us, you know? Things like that, totally cool. That's a way better response to that, you know? Because then they're still being welcoming and they're still, you know, etc. So yeah, it's really on them. It's really on them. Um, so instead of asking what's wrong with you, I think, you know, it's like, why do people not want me around? What's wrong with me? What's my issue? When people look at me, what do they not like? What can I change to fix that? And I think that is not a bad question, but it needs to be asked alongside judgment, the correct judgment of their action as well. Now, we're not supposed to judge people. And what that means is we're not supposed to condemn people. That's actually what the word translates to in the Bible. Don't judge people actually translates to don't condemn people. Don't say, yeah, you're going to hell, like, because we don't know. And don't judge people as in, like, don't put people down, you know, there's no reason for that. But accurate judgment, accurate assessment of their actions, of their reasonings, um, should be taken into account when asking, what can I change about me? Because asking what I can change about me is a good question. We need to be constantly asking that. But we also need to be asking, why? Am I going to change so that I can make other people like me better? Is that wrong? No. But if it causes me to change in a bad way so that other people like me more, then it is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it makes me worry more about becoming likable, then it's wrong because that's not our objective. It is important to be likable. It's important to be a person that is easily liked. It's, you know, you develop that personality and talent over time. You know, just like tact, you develop tact over time. You figure out the way to word things better and how to be more presentable as a human being and more enjoyable to be around other people, to ask people the right questions. All these things you learn over time when you deal with people, right? And if you're studying and you're like, okay, what do I need to change so that I can interact with people better? What do I need to change so I can stop insulting people on accident? You know, these type of things, they're important. Yeah, we have to ask these questions. But we also have to ask, why? Why do I want to do this? Is the sole reason so that is the sole reason on me in a selfish way, or is the reason because I'm being loving and I want them to have a better time around me? That's, and if you answer like the second one, then that's great. If the first one, then you might have issues later on in life, because if all we ever try to do is alter ourselves so that other people like us more, we set ourselves up for a really bad time. And that's because now our emotions are going, like how we feel inside is going to be based off of what they think of us. And so we have no control. We don't get to control what they think of us. Even if we do everything right, people will hate us. So then we're just going to hate ourselves because other people hate us. And we're judging ourselves based on how we think other people are judging us, right? So all of that's really bad. We want to steer the car way down a different path than that. Because when we give other people the opportunity to control how we feel about ourselves, and they're not thinking about, hey, how can I make this person's life better? How can I make them enjoy themselves better? How can I make them feel like, have that good emotions? Because let's be honest, almost no one's ever thinking that. You're giving control of your emotions to people who are not even thinking about you. They're not. It's like I don't know. It's just a bad move, right? It'd be very unwise. So we always have to ask, am I doing this? And am I changing, am I trying to fix myself so I can be better in dealing with people so that my emotions inside are going to be better when they're judging me? If we find out that's the issue, if we find out that's what we're doing, then we immediately know the next step. And that is, okay, I got to change the reason I'm doing this. I've got to change the way I'm looking at this. I've got to separate myself from them so that I don't go down that path. So I don't give them control over how I feel about me. Because as soon as we give control over how we feel about ourselves to somebody else who's not thinking about us, we're just going to feel bad eventually. Like, we're going to encounter a person who's having a bad day. Even if they're a great person, we're just going to encounter a person who's having a bad day and we're going to hate ourselves. Like, that's just going to happen. So we now, if that's how we are, then we got to just start working on ourselves and go, hey, I'm going to like me for me. I'm going to like me no matter what. I'm going to take my emotions and say, hey, I'm not going to base them off of what other people think. Because what other people think doesn't matter. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't make me who I am. It doesn't mean anything. It's just their own opinion, right? And opinions aren't fact. They're just thoughts. They're just ideas. They're just perceptions. But we have to be in control of our own. So yeah, that's really important. That's really, really important. And I don't know, I wouldn't say that is how you are, Princess, but to anybody out there who feels that way, like that could be true. I would definitely look into yourself and just start thinking about that, and then start going, you know what? It doesn't matter what other people think about me, because I can't control any of that. And most of the time, I don't even know that. Let me tell you, I went through high school thinking everybody hated me. Absolutely believed everybody was my enemy because I thought everyone was stupid and they hated me. That's just what I thought. That was my opinion about everybody else and what their opinion of me was. But my opinion of what their opinion was wrong. I didn't know what they thought of me because they never asked. Who asked? Hey, what's your opinion on me? Just like all of it. Like, tell me everything you've ever thought about me from this moment too. Like, what are you thinking about me right now? Do you like me as a person? Like, no one asked that. That'd be ridiculous, right? We don't know what other people are thinking about us. When I left high school, like 10 years later, I talked to somebody and they're like, what are you talking about, dude? Everybody loved you. And I was like, really? They're like, yeah. What the heck are you talking about? No one hated you, Ryan. Ever. No one had any reason to hate you. You were just nice. Why would anyone hate you? And I'm like, I don't know, just thought that everyone did. I was wrong, okay? Even the people that were like, who asked me to disappear, who were kind of mean to me, they didn't really hate me. They thought I was a cool guy, and they were just, just like being themselves, having a bad day, or just like, hey, I'm hanging out with my friends and you're not really close with us, so could you get away? They didn't have tact. We don't have tact at that stage of life yet. Most of us, some kids do. And I'm like, wow, they're so like, how come everyone likes them? And how come, it's because they have a little bit of tact, and I had a way to go. But anyways, yeah. So don't worry about what other people think. And if what other people think makes you question what's wrong with you, those people that make you think that are probably just not people you need to be associating with a whole lot, or you need to, make their life a little bit easier and better. It's mostly you just kind of have to have pity on them. But I think, what's wrong about me? What's wrong with me? It's not a bad question. And it's a good question if we want to try to get better at anything in life. Like, you can assess yourself, but always assess yourself to move forward. You never, ever, ever, and I know I've done this a lot, ask, what's wrong with me, without searching for an answer. We never want to ask, what's wrong with me, and just point out all of our problems. What's wrong with me? Oh, I'm too much like this. Oh, I'm just bad with people. Oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. It's like pointing out all of our flaws. That doesn't do anything for us except for just make us feel bad. Mm-hmm. When we ask like, oh, what's wrong with me? That needs to be followed, always followed with something with like, okay, and how do I move forward? It's like, it's okay to ask what's wrong with me if it's followed up with, and how do I get better? Mm-hmm. How do I move on? How do I move forward from this? Yeah. And then, your last question, why can't I do anything to make it better? Is because we can't control other people. You can only make yourself better. And that's the constant. That's a constant. You can always make yourself better. Everything you do, every choice you make, every problem you come across is making you into a better, stronger, more refined individual. And so that's beautiful. It's a good thing that we encounter problems, right? And just some things we don't have control over, like other people. So you just have to let the things you don't have control over be themselves and not worry about them. I think a lot of times in our lives, we spend so much time worrying about the things we can do nothing about. And it only holds us back from moving forward. But if we can let go of the things we can do nothing about and just say, I can do nothing about that, so I should think nothing about that. Let me say that again, okay, for everybody. Anytime you see a problem and you realize I can do nothing about that, say, and I should think nothing about that. Because the less time you spend thinking about what you can't change, the more time you spend thinking about things you can. Mm-hmm. And the more time you spend doing something important, the more time you spend moving other people's lives forward. There's so many things we don't have control over. So many. I don't have any control over the auto industry. All right. I don't have any control over cars. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about stinking emissions. Okay. Like, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to worry about everything is like, yes, we should worry about like global warming. Okay. Right. We can do our part, but I can't control everybody. So I'm not going to like spend my entire life worrying about that. Now, some people are called to do that. Yes, but that's not my calling. So I'm not going to worry about it personally. That's someone else's calling, and they're going to do a great job. It's not my calling. So I'm not going to worry about it. Thought, okay, is in my brain. All right, now it's gone. I'm going to move on to something important, and I think that's really how we have to do in life a lot of times. because it happens a lot. It happens like a lot. Yeah. You know, you can pray. That's about all you can do. You know, someone is driving down the road, you know, and you're like worried about them. You can't control them. You can't do anything. You're like, you just got to say, you know, you can pray to God, and then, oh, well, you know, it's going to be whatever it is. Yeah. Just like, you know, it's time to say, oh, well, about it. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it is. So when you can do nothing, when you can't make it better, then it's time to move on. That means you've done everything that you need to do. There's going to be sorrow in the world. There's going to be things unfixed. There are going to be things that are broken, period. And that is okay. That is okay. It's still good. It's still good. Even if it's not perfect, it's still good. Because life moves on. Those people have a chance to grow there. They have a chance to encounter themselves and go, wow, I really messed that up. It's still good. So, yeah. Okay, Akil.
I can't stop people eating spaghetti with ketchup, but I can cook proper spaghetti with my little cousin.
That's right, buddy. That's right. Exactly.
So
exactly.
true.
That is so true. And you know what, man? The Filipinos, they eat spaghetti with ketchup. I can't do anything about that, and I wouldn't. It's the weirdest thing.
Hey,
I
but if they
wouldn't
like
change
it, man, they like it.
They
I like
like it.
spaghetti
And their
with
ketchup
butter.
is made out of bananas. It's not even made with tomatoes. It's
Banana ketchup.
Yeah, no, seriously, it is. You take
Weird.
vinegar, you put mashed up bananas, sugar, and you dye it red, and you call it ketchup, and it tastes a lot like ketchup.
Wow.
Weird,
that
right?
on spaghetti.
Yeah, and then you put it on spaghetti. I put bananas on my spaghetti. It's called ketchup.
It's ketchup.
If you tell anybody that phrase, anybody from America, they're going to look at you like you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You're just making things up. And you're telling the honest truth. Some people in the Philippines, that's what they do.
Yeah, I put bananas on my spaghetti.
Yeah, I've had bananas on my spaghetti
called
before.
Ketchup.
Yeah, it was called ketchup. It was good. It was fine. Like, wasn't my version of spaghetti, but it was still edible. Like, wow. Anyways, moving on. Sorry. Thanks, Akil.
No,
I love you. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Hopefully that helps. I know, you know, Princess, you're a joy to be around. You're beautiful to be around. You're a wonderful person. And there is absolutely nothing like, no time have I ever spent with you that felt like a waste. It's always a blessing. Anytime I get to spend with you, it's a blessing. Yes. And that's true. Honestly, that's true for everybody. And that should be true for everybody. Anybody that spends any time with you, they should feel blessed. And if they don't, that's what they lack, not what you lack. Okay. Anyone who sees you as anything less than a blessing, anything less than an opportunity, for good, for joy, for companionship, anybody that sees you for less than the value you are, that's their own lacking. And that's just something you have to accept. You can't control what other people think of you. And you just have to go, okay, if you don't see me at my full value, then you just don't see me at my full value. That means nothing about me. That's just your inability to see what's there. And so you can pity them and say, okay, that's all right. You know, maybe you'll come around, and then leave it at that. And I think it's a good response. You know, just say, okay, maybe you'll come around, and then leave. Because again, that's all you can bet on, is maybe they'll come around. It's all about you, or it's all about them. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to hand it over to Joe. Any final thoughts?
Yes, actually, because, you know, you don't always have people around to build you up, you know, like and I'm glad, you know, that it seems like some of what we're saying is reaching you, and I'm glad for that, Princess. just by reading what you're saying in the chat here. And I'm glad that we're having an impact. But what can you do when we're not there? Or what can you do when you're all alone and you're dealing with these feelings and you're dealing with that time and it's just it's hard.
That's a good question.
If I read this in a book just yesterday, and it was quoting is actually a quote from Gaudium et Spes, which is a Vatican document.
Yes.
And this quote really made an impact on me. And here's kind of a paraphrase of it, because there's a whole bunch of context around, but
it's pretty deep.
Well, yeah, it's deep. But man
and huge.
Man, who is the only creature on earth which God willed for itself, cannot fully find himself except through a sincere gift of himself. So what it's saying is, we as people, we can't truly find ourselves except by giving ourselves as a sincere gift. And you always hear people talk about, how do I find myself? How can I figure out who I am? I'm just trying to find myself. So I'm going to go and I'm going to, hang out with some of these guys who are doing some psychedelic mushrooms and, whatever. I'm going to find myself. And I've found this to literally be true, that we don't find out who we are until we let go of ourselves and think, how can I be a gift to others? How can I totally take the focus off myself and focus on being a gift to these other people? What can I do to serve them? And so in those moments when you're hurting, tuck that thought in the back of your mind, or even write it down and keep it in your pocket or something. And say, how am I being a gift? How can I be a gift? What can I do to increase my value as a gift? What can I do to be a better gift for others? And what happens is you start to take the focus off yourself. You start to focus on other people and how you can help them, how you can serve them. And interestingly enough, these people that have told you to not be around, they're the easiest ones to serve, because the gift is your absence.
Fair.
The best gift you can be for them is to not be there. So hey, you can go do something else. You're free to go, do something different. But the hitch comes in when we're focused on, what's wrong with me. And we all go through that. We all deal with that. But the real question that you can ask yourself, that I've started to learn to ask myself, is that how am I a gift? How can I make myself a gift? These people really hurt my feelings. They really go out of their way to hurt my feelings, it seems. How can I be a gift to them? And it's the weirdest thing. It turns the tables around and it makes you feel fulfilled. And you start to find out some things about yourself. You start to find out who you really are, which is beautiful. So anyway, Ryan, it looked like you were about to say something.
Oh, I just wanted to tie in your example with your statement with an example. It's kind of like if you think about a taco, or any kind of food, until it's given itself fully to you, you have no idea what it is. Once the food gives itself fully to you, once the taco is, in your body, then you can taste it. Then you can see all of what it is. And that's kind of like when we give ourselves up to the world, to, not like over to it for it to demand us what to do. But when we give our talents, when we give what we have over and make a gift out of what we have, make a gift out of ourselves, then the world gets to experience us and we get to experience ourselves. If we just go off and do nothing by ourselves, like, for example, a lot of people, like Joe was talking about, who were like, I need to go find myself, like it's because they're spending too much time doing nothing, but like watching entertainment and stuff. Like if you
Mhm.
sit down and watch TV like every night, you're gonna come out going, man, who am I? Man, I gotta go find myself. Like I don't, because yeah, you haven't done anything. You haven't been really much of a gift. You've just been consuming, consuming, consuming. And when you do nothing but consume, you aren't being a gift. You aren't being consumed by anybody, if you will. So that's kind of, it's a really true statement. When you give yourself as a gift, when you try to be a gift to other people and make their lives better, even if that means just walking away,
Mhm.
um,
Yep.
you get to learn about what you offer to the world. You get to
Right.
notice yourself and you go, wow, I did that. That was me doing something. And
Mhm.
oh, that's who I am. That was me. And that's how you figure it out, right? So yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Choco Taco. Oh my gosh, Akil. Dude, what are you
Mm.
back from the 1990s? That's
The
sick,
Choco
man.
Taco.
Choco Tacos are awesome.
Yes. And
Anyways,
Princess, you have a heart of gold. I
yeah.
just want to tell you, you have a
Mhm.
wonderful, wonderful, loving and caring heart, and
Absolutely.
I never want to change that about you. And I understand it's easy for a loving and caring heart to be bruised,
That's fair.
and so I understand it's going to happen. And if you go forward understanding it's going to happen, and once in a while it's going to hurt. That's how life is.
Hmm.
It's okay. It hurts for a while and then we get better and stuff. But I have found great comfort in asking the question, how can I serve these people? How can I serve this person? How can I be a gift to them? How can I, totally let go of what I want and focus on doing what's best for them?
Hmm.
Which what's best for someone isn't always what they want. In
That's
fact,
true.
many times, what we want is not what's best for us. So, some things you can find only through prayer and introspection. I know you're a praying person, Princess, so I'm going to a praying person, Princess. So I would highly recommend that. Um, yeah, and wow, thank you so much for sharing, and hopefully some of this is helpful and gives you a direction to run in. But you're awesome, and uh,
Hmm.
you know that. You
Yeah.
know that we believe it. We believe that. So
Hmm. Well, yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your heart with us.
mhm.
And yeah, we're gonna move it on now to the next topic here. Jerry is still with us, so yeah, let's do that one. Let's nail this one out. Um, this one is titled "Time and Dreams." That's a really cool title. Um, so yeah, you ready for this one, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Just getting my there we go. Getting my book back to the place it was.
Got it. All set.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Sweet. Well, thanks again. Here we go. This one reads as follows: Time is a beautiful thing. I've always wanted to make something great of it. Maybe even be one of, uh, maybe even be the one to manipulate it and push past the constraints of it. Time and dreams have always been the two defining words and things in my life. They've shaped me, for better or for worse, and have been the motives of my every action, the past, the present, the future. But it's always been like a pendulum swinging back and forth. I've never wanted to be in the present. All I've ever wanted is for the past to return or for the future to arrive. I think something is changing. I like to think fate exists, that foreshadowing is a real thing, and that life does. And a real thing that life does. And I think that's what it might be doing again. It's happened before, but this time it feels different. It's a new kind of foreshadowing. It feels almost as though pieces are coming together and falling into place. It's beautiful. Sometimes, as I lay down, looking out the window, or staring into the reflection of a puddle, or looking at the sky, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. I'm able to live in the present, appreciate what I have, and see the beauty in where I've been, where I am, and where I'll be. I haven't been like this since New York, since the past that I've wanted to return to. So it feels peaceful. I love this feeling. How do I hold on to it?
Mm.
Very, very well said. Very, very well said. Um, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this, Cherry, or Val, as you go in the forums currently. Um, and yeah, I think that that was very poetic of you, the way that
Mm-hmm.
you wrote this out. I liked that,
It's beautiful.
and wise. You know, yeah, when you're always hoping to return to the past or return to the or just speed ahead to the future so that life will be good again, um, yeah, that does stink, and right now you're kind of in a place where it's like, you know what, I'm glad I am where I am. This is exactly where I want to be, but not necessarily where you want to be, because you want to, keep on moving forward, but you are at peace. You feel that where you're supposed to be, and you're enjoying the present, and I think that's super awesome. You're able to live in the present, and appreciate what you have, and see the beauty in where you've been and where you are and where you will be. I think that's very beautifully said. um, so yeah, great question. How do I hold on to it? How do I stay here? How do I stay, not necessarily in this moment and not progress, but how do I retain this perception, this feeling, this attitude? How do I retain this sense of lifestyle and self? Um, so yeah, moving on. I'm going to let Joe have the first bet at this.
Mm. Well, I have to agree with Ryan. It's the way you wrote this was beautiful, Cherry. I think it's yeah. I was really really uh, happy to hear what you had to say, and that's the interesting thing. How to hold on to a feeling. That's a really good question. Because in a way, feelings kind of come and go and they fluctuate and they move and they change and they do all that kind of stuff, right? It's just kind of how life is. And in fact, this feeling that you feel right now, it wouldn't feel good or wouldn't feel as good if you hadn't been through some bad feelings before, because you would have nothing to compare it to. So, in a way, what set you up for having this wonderful feeling is some of the bad feelings that you've had in the past and some of the hardships you've had in the past, which is that's one of the beautiful things about our struggles is that they set us up for moments like what you're experiencing now. This time when you're experiencing this love and this joy and this peace and this it's great. But here's one cool thing. Our feelings, while they come and go and they change, we can relive them. We can have the memory. We will always have that memory, and you can relive it. You can sit and you can close your eyes and you can take yourself back to whatever time. I'm sure you've done that before. Most of the time, we do it with something negative. At least I do. I relive negative experiences like I'm the best at it. And you know what? I experience all the tension and the turmoil and the hurt and the grinding and all that. I relive it in my mind and in my heart, and even like my heart starts to beat faster and my blood pressure goes up and everything. Like I have a physical response to it, and it's a memory. It's not even happening, but it's causing this reaction. I can do the same thing with what you're experiencing right now. I just don't ever really discipline myself to do it as often as I ought to. But I can relive moments of great joy. I can relive moments of great, triumph, of great success, moments of love, moments of being close to another person. We can relive those. And I would encourage you, if you've never heard me talk about this book before, it's a little bit heavy, but it's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And in it, he talks about the power of our minds and how they can shape us and how we can create memories that have never existed. Like the way we want things to be. We can create in our mind a vivid image and a vivid experience of what it would be like, and we can experience it. And you know what? Our mind treats it as though it were real. Our mind can't tell the difference. Like our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between something that actually happened and something that never happened, but we vividly imagined it, getting all of the senses involved, sight, smell, taste, touch, all the senses. So we can, in a way, have control over our feelings, and you can relive this feeling as often as you want to. No matter what's going on around you, the stuff might be falling apart, crumbling, and it's really hard when you're in the face of some massive struggle. It can be really hard to go to a good place like this in your mind. But it might be just the very thing you need to do. I've had to do that recently. I've been dealing with some issues with a client that are so hard. I mean, guy owes me lots and lots of money, and it looks like he might be going out of business, and it's really kind of freaky. And in the midst of it all, I can take a moment and I can lay down and I can close my eyes and I can use my imagination to bring a good experience, whether it's something I invent or whether it's something that I am remembering. So, yeah. I'll tell you what, Cherry, you've been through a lot of stuff. You've shared a lot of stuff on our show and on BSS.studio. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that you've shared what you've shared and that you've allowed us to have this glimpse into your life and the things that you've gone through, because it really, really helps me to understand that I'm not alone when I go through challenges, because there's other people that are having challenges too. But just remember, this moment, this time that you have, be grateful for it and hold on to it as long as you can. And remember that it was brought to you in part by all the struggles that you went through to get here. And in the wonderful words of Gandalf the Grey, when he was responding to Frodo, he's like, I wish none of this would ever happen, had never happened. I wish it never have happened to me. And Gandalf says, so do all who see such times. But that is not for them to decide. The thing they have to decide is what to do with the time they have. And that's a key statement to say, what's happening now That's your life. Our lives are the present. We can go to the future and the past in our mind, but what's reality happening now in the present, that's our real life right now. And you know what? It just happened. Now it's the past. And now it's the past. And it was the future a second ago, and now it's the past again. Because that, our lives are lived in the present. But I don't know. I know I'm going a little bit deep and stuff, so I'm going to turn it over to Ryan before I go off the rails. So, Ryan, take it away.
I was hoping you'd go off the rails. I just wanted to see it. I wanted to see what happens. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. You're awesome. And yeah, the mind is a really incredible thing. I think, personally, I think one of the most important things to do to retain the sense of joy for what you're living in now, the joy of being in the present, right? There's a lot to that, but I think a lot of that, of course, is your perception. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep your perception in check? And the things I would recommend personally is, one, to be thankful. Be thankful for whatever you have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
List them off in your mind, repeat them daily, and think about those things. Because here's what's going to happen. If you do that, Joe was just talking about the subconscious mind, right? You will train your brain to be thankful for what you have whatever time it is. Mm-hmm. And that's how you will find yourself enjoying what you have in the present. Because if you enjoy what you have now, then you're going to be filled with joy, And if your brain is programmed to constantly seek out what things you have to be thankful for, what you have right now that will bring you joy, and if you just train your brain to do that, it will constantly do that. And no matter what kind of situation you go through, because the bad times will come, they'll just come, and it's okay. When they do, your brain is still going to be programmed to go, hey, but what do I have right now that's really important? What do I have? Because here's the thing, your subconscious mind, it's trained to keep on doing something over and over and over and over. And when something happens to you from an outside source, it doesn't just make your subconscious mind stop everything it's doing. Your subconscious mind will still keep the perception you have. It will still be doing the things that you've programmed it to do. So one of the best things you can do to hold on to this peace is to celebrate that peace, pay attention to it, right? Mm-hmm. And be thankful for it, but also be thankful for seek out what you have. And you know what I would even do? I would go into those moments. Joe was just talking about playing back those moments, right? I would play back the bad moments. And in those moments, find those things I'm thankful for. Mm-hmm. Not just, I'm glad that happened so that I could be better in the future. Because that's important. But even beyond that, during that time when I was going through that, I had my dog. My dog was awesome. I'm so thankful. I also had, blankets. So I wasn't that cold, luckily. I could have been sleeping on the floor without any blankets, that would have stunk. So I'm glad I had blankets, whatever it is, right? Going back in those moments and reliving them from a different perspective so that when bad moments happen to you again, because they'll come and it's okay. When they do, your brain will be like, yeah, but what's good? Because I've been through, you've trained your mind to go, whenever I'm having a bad moment, I'm thinking about what's good. What is good in this moment? And then you'll help see those things so that when you're in those moments, you can still feel joy that you're in whatever moment you're in, because you're still you. You're still living life, and life is still a beautiful, beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. You're living in the time that you're living in, and that's beautiful. And you can be happy about that. So train your mind to be thankful. Train your mind to see the beautiful in every moment. And I think that's really ultimately the same thing. And so, yeah, I think that would be my best. I mean, I know obviously that was really short, but that would be my best advice on that. My best look into how to maintain that healthy um, presence in the current time, rather than always just looking to the past or the future for better times. Find what's good where you are now and celebrate those things. Then, when the bad times hit you, you'll still be celebrating and never stop.
Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of times when we get into bad situations, we focus so hard on what's bad that we can't see the good. And that's the opposite of what we need. Um, Focusing on the bad can be good as long as its intention is to make it good, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. Um, when you focus on the bad, like we normally do, like, oh, hey, this system isn't operating correctly. It's bad. Let's make it better. Like I just wrote, a song and this part is totally not good. So what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna sit there and go, wow, man, this part is just so not good. I wish it wasn't like that. Man, I hate this part of the song. It's just so bad. And I wish it wasn't there. I'm just gonna not listen to that part of my song that I'm writing. No, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be like, I don't like this part. Select, delete, make something different, Or, oh, what's wrong with it? Oh, I need to adjust the levels. That's what's wrong with it. Or, oh, I just need to re-record that part. Then it'll sound better. I'm going to just go in to change it. I'm going to complain about it. Yeah, but complaint isn't inherently wrong. What's wrong is when you go, and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to let it feel bad and make me feel bad and do nothing and just complain. That's wrong. But complain is not a bad action. It's not evil. It's nothing wrong with complaining. In the Bible, I think it's like Job or someone. No, maybe it's Job or Joshua. One of them. I can't remember.
Job was the one who had all the suffering and with
Yeah, and he complained. He complained to God, and God heard him. He's like, God, this sucks, man. What's with all this stuff? It's awful. You can complain. It's okay. But only, and here's the thing. He complained to God because God was the only one that could change it. It's okay to complain to yourself if you know you can change it. So if you're going to spend any time focusing on the wrong, focusing on what's bad, it has to accompany, and I will change it. And I'm going to make it better. Oh, this is what's wrong? Okay, what do we do to fix that? What do we do to make it better? If you can, so when bad times come, yeah, it's okay to complain. When bad times come, it's okay to notice the wrong. I'm not saying don't notice the wrong. I'm not saying ignore it, because you need to focus on it.
Right.
So that you can fix it. If you don't focus on it, if you just run away from it all the time, you won't solve any issues, and you're not going to grow, and you're not going to enjoy life in a couple of years. That's just how it's going to be. You'll actually grow stagnant, which makes you slowly go weaker. A lot of times in pretty much anything in life, if you don't keep on practicing, you slowly get worse. And that remains true for even like running away from our problems. We need to face conflict in our lives so that we can continue to grow and keep track of like, oh, I need to, I haven't touched up on my people skills in a while. That's why when I did that interaction, it went so poorly. We have to keep up on our people skills and how we treat people and how we interact and all sorts of different stuff. And that's okay. It's cool. It's good, because life is good, and that's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. So it's okay. When things go bad, it's okay to look at the wrong, but only if it's accompanied by, and what do I do to fix it? And otherwise, just celebrate the good that you got. Be thankful, and program your mind to be thankful in every moment for what you have, so that when the bad times come, you can still be thankful then. And that will show you, hey, you're still where you need to be. Life is still progressing, and it's okay where you're at right now. So that'll help you retain that peace, and that comfort of knowing that life is good. Life is beautiful. The only reason life is not beautiful for some people is because they can't see the beauty. And the only reason that life is awesome for some people is because they can see what's awesome. Period. That's just what it is. Some people, they hate life. They think life is just awful. They're in a rut always. There's always something bad going on. And it's only because they can see it that way. Mm-hmm. I know people, including myself, who have gone through bad times. Just one thing after another, and it stinks. And they're like, what are you talking about? No. I mean, I guess that's happening. I don't know. I'm not paying any attention to it. Life is awesome. And life is awesome for them. They enjoy it. Mm-hmm. That's 100% how you look at it. It's not what you're going through. It's what you're looking at. It's just how it is. It's not what you're going through. It's what your mind is deciding to focus on. Mm-hmm. So, Cherry, I don't think you're going to have any problems with this. Because if you just keep on focusing on what's good, like you have been lately, like everything you've posted recently has been super awesome. You've got this great sense of like, you're just looking at the good and the beautiful. You just keep on doing that, man. You're going to have no problems. You know, because, yeah, you're already training for it, and you've trained for it for a while now, and things are working. The reason you feel the way you do is because you're looking at the right things now. You're looking at the beautiful things, and you're noticing them as beautiful. They've always been there. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like, man, times were worse back then. They've always been there. Mm-hmm. Those beautiful things, they were always there. And I can say that in my own life. You know, I've been through some bad times. I hated life, different parts of life. I hated people at different parts of life. But you know what? Now I'm completely different. I'm completely different in all of that. Life is awesome. And I look back at those moments and I'm like, life was still awesome. I was just looking at the wrong things. I was paying too much mind to things that didn't matter. I was ignoring and refusing to see the beautiful when it was staring me down. Like it was right in front of my face. And I was choosing, I don't want to look at something that's pretty. I don't want to look at the beautiful. I don't want to see life as, because I just want to be this downed person because that's how I feel. And I don't want to change. And I remember being like that. It stunk. Didn't feel good at all. It was in vain. That's kind of what the song When the Darkness Comes is about too, you know? When the darkness comes, don't betray yourself. Don't betray yourself for it. Because the darkness only comes to bring you hell. You know, it's just how it is. A lot of times we betray ourselves. We like, oh, I feel the darkness and I'm just going to sink into it and linger there.
I'm going to wallow in it. I'm going to let it get all over me. And it's going to be great, man.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to feel sorry for me. And
yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You said it. And then like you get out of it and you're like, why did wow. Okay. I'm not gonna do that.
That was a thing.
Yeah, that went well. Well, and then you do it again, and then you're like, "Why did I do that again? That was so dumb last time I did it." Yeah, but anyhow, yeah, that's just so. Yeah. Anyways, all of that is to say, Jerry, I think you're already on the right track. Just when the darkness comes, don't dwell in it. Just stay positive. You'll see the positive. It's just about what you focus on because it's all there. There are bad times happening right now. You don't even notice it. And there are good times happening right now. And some of you don't notice it. Some of you do. It's just, what are you going to focus on? Mm-hmm. That changes everything. And if your heart's in the right spot, it's a lot easier to focus on what's good.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a 3-step exercise I do every day, and this ties in really well with what Ryan was describing. There's 3 things I do. I have it actually written on a calendar, and I look at it every morning. It's up there, and it says, you know, it's something to do first thing in the morning. I look at it, breathe in life and smile. Right? That's the first thing. Just yeah, exactly. And then think of 3 things that you're thankful for. And actually think of them. Think of 3 things that you're thankful for today, right? And then think of 3 things that you're looking forward to. And then think of 3 things that you're going to do today to move you forward. And what you're doing there is you're addressing the past, the present, and the future, all in the same exercise. Because what you're thankful for, that's generally something that's happened to you in the past. And you're seeing the fruits of it now, but it's happened. It took place in the past. What you're looking forward to, obviously, that's the future. You're looking forward to something in the future. What you're going to do today, that's the present. And that's the action. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we live our lives right now. And in a way, it's also dealing with the future because you're planning what you're going to do that day in the future. You know, like, I'm going to do this in an hour or whatever, you know.
Technically, yeah.
But yeah, but there and I have that attached to a calendar because then I can check that day off. I can put an X on that day that I did the exercise, right? And then I look at the string of X's on the calendar and I realize that I've been doing this every day. And that's encouraging too, because it's like, oh my gosh, look I have a track record of doing something positive every day. Even if the whole rest of the day was awful. At least I had that moment of niceness in the morning. But yeah, I'm telling you, if you can remember to do that, that would be something, that would be a great thing to start doing. And you know what? Even if you have a time when it's not all that great, even if you're going through some crud and it's like, and it's a long-term thing, you still have that moment in the morning where you stretch, you smile, you breathe deeply, you remember what you're thankful for, you remember what you're looking forward to, and you think, okay, what am I going to do today to move me toward the things I'm looking forward to? Because right now stinks. So I'm going to do something to move me toward what I'm looking forward to, because doggone it, this is going to change. And that's how life is, like Ryan was talking about. Life's like that. Life goes up and life goes down. We have great times, we have bad times. We do things that bring us to great heights. And then all of a sudden, we tumble down into a pit. And it's told in a great way by a book called Peaks and Valleys. I think it's by Spencer Johnson, I think.
Sounds pretty accurate to me.
But look up the book Peaks and Valleys. And what you're going to find is when you're on a peak like you're at now, what do you do? Because you're like, okay, this can seem like a pessimistic way of looking at it, but it's like, okay, it's only a matter of time before I tumble back down into a valley, right? But what you can remember in those moments, like Ryan was saying, it's so important to be thankful. It's so important to experience it and be thankful for it and breathe it in and just live that moment, because it'll give you something to remember when you're going through something again. And you can remember, how did I get here? Think back, like, okay, what did I do that got me to this point? What were the things I did? Because that's going to be good for you to remember. And if you can write it down somewhere where you can, when you're next time you're in a bad spot, you can be like, oh, these are the things I did that brought me back to a good spot. And now I can start doing them. And that can be a great moment of education, because then you're like, okay, this is the path I took up. Now I'm back down again. Oh, what was the path I took up last time? Let's try that again. And then you start, maybe you have to make a few adjustments, but it's still the same principles at play. And then you work your way, and before you know it, you're back in that moment again. And it's cool. But the beauty of the valley is we wouldn't appreciate the peak without it. You heard it, I remember hearing a story about a guy who, the story is he died and he went to heaven, and he's like, he was a bass fisherman, right? Or a trout fisherman, right? And he's like in this river and he's throwing, he's fishing, and he catches a fish. And it's the most beautiful, amazing trout he's ever caught. It's beautiful. And oh, that was great. He throws out cast, bing, another one. Oh my gosh, this is heaven. I'm catching, and then he just kept catching them and kept catching them and kept catching them. And after a while, he started to realize, wait, this is hell. Because there's no challenge. It's just one after the other. It took the thing that I enjoyed the most and made it mundane. I used to love catching a fish, a beautiful trout. Now, it just happens all the time. It's like nothing. It's just always, always, always. It's mundane now. In fact, now I'm starting to resent it. So if we didn't have the bad times, you wouldn't have this moment of joy. So remember that. Next time you're in a bad place, it's setting you up for a good time too. So.
Nice. Thanks, Static P.
You're welcome, CD Vienol. Vienol.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Sherry. You rock. Hopefully that was helpful. Like I said, I think you're already on the right track. Just keep on cruising. But take time to look at what is beautiful and set apart time to be thankful. I think Joe's regimen that he does in the mornings, that's really awesome. A great idea. But at the beginning of the day, just start every day by doing that, and then now you've got yourself in the habit of doing that. Keeping that going, so that even when the times get tough, or you start to notice yourself falling on the stuff, you've established that habit of what do I have to look forward to, and what am I thankful for right now, and type of things. I think that's awesome.
Well, it only takes a minute too.
Yeah.
Less than a minute. You can go quick.
Nice.
Some days though, it takes a while. Like, what am I looking forward to? Oh yeah. What am I going to do today? I've got a big bunch of inspections to do. What am I going to do? Not inspections. That's going to help me.
I would be like, well, I'm going to listen to some sweet stuff on my rides.
Yeah. Wednesdays, it's easy because I'm like, I'm going to do Don't Worry Wednesday today. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I love this show. I love being here with you guys. I love doing this. I love watching the chat. I love listening to Ryan. I learn a lot from Ryan. When I talk, I don't learn as much.
Really?
You're like, geez, Joe, me neither. I wish you'd shut up and let Ryan talk.
When Joe talks, it's great. And when I talk, I'm like, I don't know all this stuff. Why is that guy saying this?
Guy never teaches me anything new.
Like, the other guy,
I've never said
interesting things to say.
I never sat there and something pops out of my mouth, but that was really wise of me.
Yeah. I mean, that's happened. It happens to me, but I'm like, thanks be to God, it's the Holy Spirit. That's usually the answer.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while I'll be like, hey, what did I just say? That was actually really smart. Oh, that wasn't an accident. If I was saying it as I was saying it, it came to me. That's
Oh yes, I am so brilliant.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So yeah, thank you everyone who shared with us today. How are we looking at time wise? I think we're like an hour and a half or something. I don't know.
That's only because we started it.
We started it
a half hour in.
Yeah, what are we started the recording? Oh, we're at hour 50. Okay, so yeah, we're almost at the 2 hour mark then. So it'd be a fine time to close it down then, probably. Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here. We love you guys. Just as Joe said, we love being here. We're so excited every time we get to be here and do this with you guys. And yeah, not do it for you, do it with you, because a lot of times you guys have great things to say in the chat. Sometimes you're just really funny. I'm over here like trying not to laugh at the things you guys say. Akil's over there deleting his questions. Stop that.
Right, yes, please.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
He was like, he just folded and was like, hey, this is my thing and this is what I'm going through. I'm like, yeah, sweet. I was just thinking about Akil. I'm like, man, we haven't done Akil in forever. And then he deletes it. I'm like,
deleted.
I am so. See, here's the problem, Akil. I love you so much. How could I not? How could I not be dissatisfied when I don't get to do one of yours? You know, when I don't get to talk about how you're amazing and stuff. That's. Anyways, you guys are all awesome. We are so grateful to have you guys here with us.
Yes.
And we hope to see you guys next time on Don't Worry Wednesday. And yeah, special thanks to Jesse for working us super hard. No, no, thanks Jesse for putting us on and keeping us consistent here, and hosting us. I think that's, you know, obviously without him we wouldn't be here.
He also is the guy who puts the question summaries up there too.
Yeah, yeah. So he's paying attention. He's not just going off doing his own thing while this is live. He's actually with us so the whole time, and he has to sit here for 2 hours, and he doesn't even get to say anything. Man.
Yes, he does.
Okay, that's true. Every once in a while he'll say something and no one else hears.
But you guys never hear it.
Yeah.
It's just in here.
Like we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
It makes us sound insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all of a sudden we sit there and look like. yeah.
Right. That was perfect.
No.
Yeah. No.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Right. We just sound absolutely nuts. We're bonkers because we got Jesse on our ears and no one else can hear him. But anyways, yeah. And thanks to Princess. Thanks so much for keeping us on track, telling us our timestamps. We've got our over here telling us our timestamps now, so we can figure out how long are we on this topic and how long have we been talking. Really nice. It's really nice to have. And on top of that, she's making sure we've got all of our topics in order and going through them, which ones we've done, which ones we haven't done, all that kind of stuff. Super useful. So thank you so much. And
also, you guys don't even realize, like, she's in a secondary chat with us as well. She'll give us messages like, focus maybe.
Hello. Excuse me.
Like,
these are both really dumb.
We are doing. She's never gotten that. But she keeps us on track, which is great.
Excuse me. I'm with the DJ. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we love you all. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Don't Worry Wednesday, and we hope to see you guys next Wednesday. And yeah, have a fantastic life. We'll see you guys through it.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Peace.
Love you guys.